If you walk into a traditional street market in southern China, your senses are immediately greeted by a rich, savory aroma that seems to hang in the humid air. Follow it, and you will likely find yourself standing before a hot wok where a cook is tossing leafy green vegetables over a roaring flame. The secret behind the mesmerizing shine on those greens and the mouth-watering scent that drew you in is not vegetable oil. It is a single, glistening white scoop of rendered pork fat, known simply as lard. For generations, this simple ingredient has been the silent engine of Chinese kitchens. In the West, lard has long been demonized as a health hazard, a quick road to blocked arteries and heart disease. Yet, before the arrival of modern processed foods and industrial vegetable oils, the Chinese population consumed massive amounts of pork daily, while maintaining remarkably low rates of heart disease and obesity. This is the Lard Paradox. It challenges everything we have been told about dietary fat and health. How did a built around a fat-rich, starch-heavy diet manage to stay healthy for centuries? The answer is not a genetic fluke. It is a story of agricultural survival, culinary chemistry, and a massive dietary shift that explains why modern health guidelines may have gotten it all wrong. To understand why lard became the lifeblood of Chinese cooking, we have to travel back to the roots of Chinese agriculture. Throughout history, the geographic reality of China made large-scale cattle grazing impossible. Unlike the sweeping plains of North America or the pasturelands of Europe, the arable land in China was desperately needed for growing grain to feed a massive, dense population. There was simply no room for cows or sheep, which require vast expanses of grass to graze. But there was room for the pig. The pig is the ultimate agricultural recycler. A pig does not need a pasture. It can live in a small pen and eat agricultural waste, crop residues, and household food scraps that humans cannot digest. More importantly, pigs are biological miracles when it comes to energy conversion. They convert their feed into edible calories and, crucially, fat far more efficiently than cattle. For a hard-working farming family, the pig was a living savings account. It transformed useless waste into a concentrated source of energy that could be harvested when winter arrived. In fact, the pig is so central to Chinese civilization that it is embedded in the written language itself. The Chinese character for home or family, pronounced jia, is composed of two radicals, a roof on top and a pig underneath. Without a pig under the roof, a dwelling was not considered a true home. And the most valuable part of that pig was not its lean meat, but its fat. In a peasant economy defined by long hours of grueling manual labor in the rice fields, calories were the difference between life and death. Fat is the most calorically dense nutrient available, providing 9 calories per gram, compared to just 4 calories for proteins and carbohydrates. Lard is a clean, cheap, and highly concentrated fuel source. For centuries, a simple bowl of steamed white rice, topped with a spoonful of lard and a splash of soy sauce, was the ultimate comfort food for millions. This dish, called juyu banfan, was not a luxury for the rich. It was the fuel of the working class. It made cheap, plain grains palatable and provided the sustained physical energy required for a day of hard farming. However, the dominance of lard was not just about survival. It was also a product of culinary engineering. To cook in a traditional Chinese kitchen is to master the wok. The wok is a thin-walled vessel designed to transfer intense heat to food as quickly as possible. This high-heat cooking method, known as chow or stir-frying, requires a fat that can withstand extreme temperatures. When you heat a cooking fat, it eventually reaches its smoke point, the temperature at which the fat begins to break down, smoke, and release toxic compounds. Most unrefined vegetable oils have low smoke points and contain high levels of polyunsaturated fatty acids. Under the roaring flames of Chinese wok, these delicate vegetable oils quickly oxidize, producing harmful free radicals and a bitter, burnt taste. Lard, by contrast, is primarily composed of saturated and monounsaturated fats. This chemical structure makes it incredibly stable. Think of saturated fat molecules like a neat stack of bricks. They are tightly packed and highly resistant to heat damage. Polyunsaturated fats are more like a pile of loose twigs. They are easily disrupted and broken apart by the heat. Lard's high smoke point and molecular stability made it the perfect partner for the wok. It allowed cooks to sear ingredients at scorching temperatures without burning the oil, locking in the natural juices of vegetables and meats while creating the smoky complexity known as wuxiang or wok hei. Furthermore, lard possesses a unique physical property. It is an exceptional flavor carrier. Because it coats the tongue evenly, it carries the aromatic compounds of garlic, ginger, and scallions directly to the taste buds, lingering longer than thin, watery vegetable oils. This is why a plate of cabbage stir-fried in lard tastes rich and satisfying, while the same dish cooked in soybean oil can taste greasy and flat. Lard also contains a high concentration of oleic acid, the same monounsaturated fat that makes olive oil famous for its health benefits. This fatty acid profile gives lard a low melting point, meaning it melts immediately at body temperature. When you bite into a traditional Chinese pastry, a pork bun, or a dumpling, the lard inside melts on your tongue, creating a luscious, velvety texture that vegetable oils simply cannot replicate. For thousands of years, this fat was also viewed through the lens of traditional medicine. In China, food and medicine are not separate disciplines. They are two sides of the same coin. Traditional Chinese medicine, or TCM, views lard not as a dangerous artery clogger, but as a therapeutic substance. Historical medical texts describe lard as having a sweet flavor and a neutral, warming energy. It was prescribed to nourish the spleen and stomach, aid digestion, moisturize dry skin, and lubricate the joints. Lard was seen as a substance that smoothed out the internal systems of the body, helping energy flow without friction. But if pork fat is so stable, delicious, and historically benign, why did the Chinese kitchen abandon it? The turning point occurred in the late 20th century, as China began to open its economy to the world. Along with Western capital came Western dietary concepts. For decades, the dominant nutritional dogma in the West, spearheaded by the American heart health establishment, was the diet-heart hypothesis. This theory asserted that saturated fats raise cholesterol, and raised cholesterol causes heart disease. Animal fats like butter and lard were branded as public health enemies, while industrial vegetable oils made from soybeans, corn, and canola were promoted as healthy alternatives. Under pressure to modernize and influenced by global health trends, China embarked on a massive dietary transition. The government subsidized the production of refined seed oils, and marketing campaigns began to paint lard as a backward, unhealthy relic of a poor past. Urban households threw away their traditional clay pots of rendered lard, replacing them with clear plastic bottles of refined soybean and rapeseed oil. At the same time, the domestic pig population changed. To meet the demands of a growing urban middle class that preferred lean meat, traditional Chinese pig breeds, which were naturally fat and lard-heavy, were largely replaced by imported Western breeds designed to grow lean muscle quickly. Lard, once cheap and abundant, became a scarce specialty item. Today, refined vegetable oils account for the vast majority of the fat consumed in China. But this transition did not bring the promised health benefits. In fact, the exact opposite happened. Over the last 40 years, lard consumption plummeted and vegetable oil intake surged. China witnessed an unprecedented explosion in chronic diseases. The country's diabetes rate, which was under 1% in 1980, has climbed to over 12%. Cardiovascular disease, once a rare cause of death in rural communities, is now the leading cause of mortality in China. While this health crisis has many causes, including a rise in sedentary lifestyles and sugar consumption, a growing number of modern nutritional scientists are pointing to the replacement of animal fats with seed oils as a critical factor. Refined seed oils are highly processed, using chemical solvents and high heat, which damages the delicate polyunsaturated fats before they even reach the kitchen. When these oils are heated again in a home wok, they undergo further oxidation, releasing polar compounds that promote systemic inflammation and oxidative stress in the human body. Unlike the stable brick-like molecules of lard, these oxidized seed oils act like chemical wrecking balls inside the cardiovascular system, damaging the linings of blood vessels and promoting the very heart disease they were supposed to prevent. Furthermore, refined seed oils are packed with omega-6 fatty acids. While human beings need a balance of omega-3 and omega-6 fats, the modern diet has pushed this ratio out of equilibrium. An excess of omega-6 fats promotes an inflammatory environment in the body, which is linked to insulin resistance, obesity, and metabolic dysfunction. Lard, on the other hand, has a much more balanced ratio of fats and is naturally low in inflammatory omega-6 compounds. The tragedy of the modern Chinese diet is that in the rush to adopt Western health standards, a highly evolved, Scientifically sound cooking tradition was discarded. The traditional Chinese diet did not fail, it was abandoned. This realization is driving a quiet culinary and scientific revolution. In recent years, both food scientists and gourmet chefs in China have begun to reclaim lard. Scientists are publishing studies validating what traditional cooks knew intuitively, that stable animal fats are chemically superior for high-heat wok cooking, and that natural fats do not behave the same way in the human body as highly processed industrial oils. In high-end restaurants and home kitchens alike, the clay pots of lard are returning. Cooks are realizing that the unique flavor, texture, and mouthfeel of classic dishes cannot be duplicated by industrial substitutes. The simple fragrance of garlic sizzling in lard is once again being recognized as a marker of culinary mastery, rather than a health risk. The history of lard in China offers a profound lesson for the modern world. It reminds us that nutritional science is not always a linear march of progress. Sometimes, in our rush to simplify health into checklists of calories and fats, we overlook the complex, time-tested wisdom of no food systems. Traditional Chinese cuisine thrived for millennia because it balanced its ingredients. Lard was never eaten in isolation. It was always paired with fiber-rich vegetables, mineral-dense seaweeds, and antioxidant-rich teas that aided digestion and mitigated metabolic stress. It was a complete harmonious system designed to nourish the human body. The story of pork fat in the Chinese kitchen is a reminder that natural, whole foods prepared using techniques refined over thousands of years are rarely the enemy of human health. The real danger lies in the industrialization of our food supply and the hubris of replacing natural fats with chemically processed substitutes. As we look to the future of nutrition, the path forward may not lie in the latest laboratory-engineered health food, but in the traditional woks of the past, sizzling with the stable, savory fat that fueled one of the longest-lasting civilizations